Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is smack bang on 10 AM. That was entirely not planned. That's just the way it's turned out. We are back with our alt character, who has the same name as our original FF14 1.0 character, and in fact looks a lot like our original FF14 1.0 character. And we are continuing with some 2015 content, i.e. we are utilising the Road to 60 buff, and we're seeing how far through Heavensward we can get. In yesterday's episode we started off the Churning Mists, which, as I've mentioned, is probably one of people's least favourite quest lines in the Heavensward expansion, simply because of the Moogle quests. Now, I meant to go and check whether they had changed things. I didn't, but I meant to. And yeah, so we're just going to... In fact, let's do this fate while we're here. Because we can, this will help us get a little bit warmed up. In fact, what I'm going to do... Ooh, that's really loud. Let's put this through the headphones so I can make sure the mic's not picking anything weird up. If I remember correctly, we do not need to kill this guy all the way down to 0. The hell I always do that. At some point I will keep track of my MP bar before I go for the Dark Arts Dark Passenger combo. Oof. A direct crit as well, don't mind if I do. Man, this guy's taking some damage. Generally speaking, if something is taking this long to kill, there must have been quite a few people knocking about in this zone. Ooh, getting a little bit of lag actually. Should watch out for that. If I was on my own, normally I would have thought this quest this fate is not particularly worth the time, and I'd probably have run off by now. But because there's already a guy here working at it, I feel obligated to stick around and finish it off. That's fine. It's nice to wail on the Moogle for a bit anyway. Wagoosh this behavior. handedly doing this right. I'm just going to check that this is streaming okay. Yeah, that all seems to be working fine. Yeah, with the new streaming setup, well, with the new audio setup, I'm always a little bit worried that things aren't going to work properly. Where am I actually going? Correct answer is completely the wrong way. Right, so we need to go. Hello. Let's avoid you. Let me move this down a bit. See if that's better. So we're just going to go and collect some firewood, if I remember correctly, for Alphino. Nah, bugger off. We don't want any. Oh. Well, that's typical, isn't it? Right, this microphone stand doesn't look like it's very secure. Hold on 1 second. Hopefully that should be okay. If not, and you hear some random gasping and shouting, it's probably something having broken. I can't jump off here. That's annoying. So we actually do need to go all the way around. So that's somewhat typical. This zone, like many of the kind of more airborne of the zones in Heavensward, is a damn sight easier to navigate when you are flying. Okay, so we want to go. Oh, I see. It was kind of clear on the map, I just wasn't paying attention. Shocking. Right. That's one. Defeat threatening monsters. That tree was not threatening, it was just kind of chilling. can more readily stay outside of grit now. Often I would switch back into grit if we pulled multiple enemies, because of the damage leeching portion of it. If we were struggling, there's Alpha now. Got nothing to say. As is routine, we shall slap him. What was I saying? Yeah, but since we picked up Choco Cure for our Chocobo companion, it would be much easier to stay alive against multiple enemies now. So I just have to stop and listen to that little refrain from the music, because it's doesn't play very often. I see I was right to worry about the boy's safety. Once Alphino returns with wood, we can see about supper. The Ice Queen has filled a pot with what look like stew ingredients ready for the fire. Estinian, still not a huge fan of Azel. I forgot a couple of coppers coming with us. Alphino is distracted. A traditional FF14 or traditional Final Fantasy actually campfire scene. Oh. Few things compare to the simple pleasure of sitting beside a crackling campfire of one's own making. Ha! So speaks the great explorer. Until recently you wouldn't have recognised firewood if it came with kindling and a flint. 'Tis well you instructed me so patiently then. But yes, left to my own devices, I would have been compelled to signal to Yazel with a bunch of damp leaves. I was born... Oh, we're going to get some backstory on Alphino now. So stuff that hasn't actually been revealed to us as of yet. I was born the pampered son of a Charlayan dignitary and, alongside my twin, became the youngest student ever to be accepted into the stadium. How proud I was to match wits with scholars and philosophers. How ignorant of mine own shortcomings. That hubris invited manipulation and betrayal, and led to the downfall of the science. He's shouldering quite a lot, is Alphino. We all of us are guilty of similar ignorance. How many men lay down their lives not knowing what it is that they fight for, never questioning that which they have been taught to believe. I think that's a little bit of a dig against Estinian there as well. 'Twas only upon meeting Hraesvalga that I learned the truth hidden within our history. Were it not for that chance encounter, I would never have vowed to tear down the Holy See and expunge the falsehoods with which it fans the flames of conflict. I would have lived and died in ignorance. That the truth has driven me to do terrible things I cannot deny, but I would rather sin in the pursuit of peace than imagine myself virtuous for perpetuating a needless war. If this journey has taught me anything, excuse me, it is the importance and difficulty of holding on to one's convictions in the face of failure, of striving always to replace one's ignorance with knowledge. as an educator and as a teacher, that is very much in line with my manner of thinking. I think it's possibly the first time I've ever actually agreed with Alphino about anything. You are well on your way, Master Alphino. At your age, I was but a fool swinging a spear with scarcely a thought in my head. Ooh, a little bit of humility from Mastinian. Even now I struggle to acknowledge the misconceptions under which I have laboured. Sitting here amongst these grand ruins, how can I deny that man and dragon once lived in peace? But for all that such an age existed, we are now in a time of war. Nidhogg killed my family, and no quirk of history will exonerate him. I may be ignorant of how the Dragonsong War began, but if we do not put an end to this conflict now, I can say for certainty that it will only breed more vengeful souls such as mine. In my hands resides the power to vanquish a great worm. If Ishgard's survival rests on me wielding that power, I will slay Nidhogg myself, orders or no. Estidian, you gave your word. My word is contingent upon the success of our parley. Show me the strength of your convictions, Lady Iceheart. Convince Ffxiv of the righteousness of your cause. Doubt not but that I shall, Dragoon. Well, wind's willing, we shall have our answers on the morrow. Let us sleep now and face our fate with the rising of the sun. A lot of people might feel that that scene is a little bit exposition-y. It's all like, oh, let's all reveal our backstories. And it is exposition-y, but would I say it's too exposition-y? Would I say it's a bad scene because of it? Ooh, mount speed increase, that's nice. I would argue that it's actually quite a good scene. It's a lull in the story, it's a moment of peace. It is, some might argue, ooh, I was going to say the calm before the storm, but the storm appears to be here. No, storytelling wise, it is very much the calm before a storm. There are obviously several ways that this meeting with Ffxiv could go, and let's go and find out. Excuse me. Morgan is gazing meaningfully at the path to Zenith. The campfire was so cosy, I must have fallen asleep, Kupo. But do you feel how the winds have shifted? They will have borne Ffxiv back to the skies above Zenith, I'm sure of it. This is your chance to climb to the highest floor of the palace and summon him with a toot on that shiny horn. So, I'll be heading back now, if it's all the same to you. Good luck, Kupo. It was nice knowing you. Yeah, it wasn't Couple of Cop, it was Morgan. I've just remembered that I was doing a different voice for Morgan, but never mind. An entire 15 plus hours has passed since I last did that. Oh, buzz off. Ah, that mount speed increase is quite nice. Really does make a difference. I'm not entirely sure actually what the speed increase was. Blow the horn on the top floor of Zenith. That doesn't mean up there. Oh, that weather effect is so cool. As is Nidhogg's area over there, which incidentally we will be visiting in a bit, as it is the level 55 dungeon. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Stuck on a rock. Well, actually, we do have to go all the way up here. There we go. Ooh, and there is an ether current up here as well. How are we doing with those? Two more on the ground to do, and 4 through quests. We've actually got one of them ready to hand in. Okay, it's time for some story. I can't remember if this is voice acted or not. Dark Knight and musician. Mortals, why do you disturb my solitude? Ffxiv is pretty big.
Ffxiv.
Yes, Alpha. I don't know why he looks surprised. It's like, that's what we came here for. There speaketh the name of a creature that but awaiteth the release of oblivion. So Ffxiv is basically waiting to die. Is he missing an eye?
By the 12. Mine ears hear the tongue of dragons, yet the meaning rings clear within my mind. How can that be?
Plot.
Ffxiv. Do you not
Oh, he is
remember
missing an
me?
eye.
'Twas I whom you found in Demajen. I who glimpsed the truth. The truth about your past. About Shiva.
Ffxiv doesn't like having his ex's name being brought up.
But speak it I must. I have summoned Shiva's soul from the beyond and offered myself as her vessel. She has made her heart known to me.
But has she? Foolish girl. Yeah, see, Azel truly believes that she's actually summoned Shiva, just like the Emulja believe they are actually summoning Ifrit, and the Kobolds believe they are actually summoning Titan. But all they're doing is they're taking their beliefs, their myths, and manifesting them through that belief. They're not actually summoning gods from the heavens. Yeah, he is missing an eye.
I have surrendered mine to her. Do you not see, my love? I am Shiva reborn.
So the light being the power of the echo has illuminated the past, but it hasn't granted them omniscience, all-knowing. And this is where it really hammers home the idea that the primals, such as they are conjurations of one's own fancy, one's own whims, one's beliefs, rather than the actual things. Myths made manifest. Same goes for Ravana, the god of the Nath. In an age-long past, my own kin, so the other dragons, were guilty of summoning or creating a primal. Beguiled by the Dark One's lies, i.e. the Ascians again, they attempted to resurrect a king among worms. Yet the divinity they called forth merely borrowed the semblance of my fallen brood brother. Is that Bahamut that he's talking about? Such gods are not summoned but created. So this whole nomenclature that we've got about summoning of primals, it's not what we're doing. They are creating primals from or with their faith, their belief.
Then the spirit that answered me.
That's a bit of a revelation for us, as well as obviously for Azelle. It was her dream, her notion, her understanding of what Shiva was like. Your soul has been corrupted by a deity of your own making, which I suppose is an interesting. What's the word I'm after? An interesting take on religion as a whole. The idea that we create gods in our own images. Oh.
Be that as it may, Lord Hraesvelgr, Izel's desire to heal the rift between man and dragon is real, and it has borne us this far. We would spare both our kind and yours the ravages of this senseless war. Pray join your voice to ours in a call for peace and forgiveness.
He does not look forgiving. Yes, the dragons hold a little bit of a grudge. The tale of your kind, the Elezen, is one of avarice, so greed, treachery and death, and you would speak to me of peace. I've just remembered why he's only got one eye. It's come back to me. Hark the immortal to naked truth and tell me that you deserve forgiveness. So he's going to... it's time for a story. It's time for the story.
Es ein isor ul a dran il esk apashi.
1200 years ago, my beloved Shiva's sacrifice served to bring an end to the war between man and dragon, paving the way for an age of peace and cooperation, which we know lasted only 200 years. Two centuries of harmony were to follow, during which time the Elezen learned much about us, not least that the eyes of a great worm were the wellspring of his strength. As we already know. So once again, selfishness, the desire to possess that strength and to lord it over other people. King Thordan conspired to undo the peace and everything that the people had achieved together. Do we get the cutscenes? Yeah. So with the aid of his knights, the king lured Ratatoska into an ambush and took from her eyes. I like those mules. Yeah, so as much as he'd like to blot the image from his mind, he can't. Ratatoska's corpse defiled by the Elezen, torn out her eyes and feasted upon them, so they'd actually devoured her eyes like wild beasts. So Thordan and his Knights 12, just like we've got Thordan the 7th, the Archbishop, and the Heavensward, who are his Knights 12. And I notice they've got different, well, some of them have got different weapons. So from their bloody banquets, these betrayers had gained strength beyond that of mortal men. The enormity of that betrayal he even now struggles to understand 1,000 years later. You can see why he's pissed. Nidhogg is even more pissed. Interesting, if you listen to the dialogue there, you heard Ffxiv say Ratatoska's name, but Ratatoska's name is not in this chunk here. Nidhogg was the first to learn of this atrocity, and he took to the skies hungry for vengeance. So he killed Thordan, and 8 it would have been, because I think there were 4 that escaped. So he killed a good chunk of the knights, but of course they've already killed one great worm. They've murdered Ratatoska, so they know exactly where to strike. So this is the truth, this is the origin of the war. Obviously, atrocities were committed on both sides, but this is how it started. Tis a song my kind shall never forget, even should 10,000 years pass and Ishgard crumble into dust.
Your tale bears scant resemblance to the one I was taught. How convenient that it should absolve your kind of all responsibility. But tell me, dragon, why should I believe your version of events?
He does kind of have a point. What you choose to believe is immaterial. The betrayal that haunts my every waking moment is no less than the truth to my kind. So again, is there another version? Is there a version in between the version the Ishgardians have been taught for centuries and what the dragons remember? Of course, Ffxiv was there. And regardless of what you believe, Nidhogg means to make Thordan's people suffer. This is not a war of extinction, it is a punishment to siege of the spirit. Nidhogg wants to break them. Wants to punish them mentally. Have you not seen those who tire of the torment? Those who abandon their own and side with dragonkind? Yeah, the heretics.
Ishgard's so-called heretics.
Sale orn I nesh iratatoska kin for elna. Si is nesh dokin an.
All of the traitor's progeny bear a trace of Ratatoska's essence, but a single sip of our blood is enough to awaken it.
Then the seed lies within us.
Yeah, so if you remember Snowcloak, where you got the heretics who took a sip of dragon's blood and turned into massive creatures, that's why.
Is ros esh idram oloson inizek non nish I esk diedran en wa ulwa skola es alakin el andranken mondo.
So a lot of the people that the Dragoons and the Ishgardians have been fighting and killing for quite some time now used to be people. They used to be maybe their own family members who'd given up hope or changed their ideals or beliefs. And thus Nidhogg increases the ranks of his army. And one by one, through death or defection, Nidhogg shall account for everybody.
Ye gods, I have borne witness to such a transformation. Looked on as a heretic assumed the shape of a dragon. I imagined it some manner of Dravanian enchantment.
Nope.
But if any Ishgardian, regardless of allegiance, has such potential within them, 12 forgive us. To think of all the dragons we've slain.
Yeah, what happens if they're forced to drink the blood?
War ulmon ala as drao.
There will always be some, of course, who choose to fight until the bitter end.
Kawol smaim kol su thrahal seskmoni se an in kinizeg.
Your youthful vigour will be spent before you reach 210. So before you're 50 years old.
Oft have I wondered why Nidhogg did not simply raze Ishgard to the ground.
Because he could.
Now I have my answer. He has no intention of winning the Dragonsong War, for it is no war at all, but vengeance. An eternal requiem sung for his murdered sister.
In ice in drao. Ale inia in.
I have not come this far only to admit defeat. We can still return the eye to Nidhogg and beg forgiveness for our ancestors' crimes. Mayhap our words will sway him.
Ja an. Lis as an in la tu ole ul in an hes isu.
It's barely been 5 minutes to Nidhogg.
Mik du set in sori. No sta no lis as dui fortha in.
'Tis a simple matter to apologise for what the people in the past did. Because they were in the past, they were far removed from us, but... to a dragon.
An isi a uldran as nisek for. In lai as nesh I an iratatoska.
For worms such as Nidhogg, however, that history is yet part of his present. as fresh as the blood that did gush from Ratatoska's wounds. How could he not be driven mad? Yeah, even Heavensward is pissed, but he's got Shiva's soul at least to calm him down a little. My faith in your kind is spent, and I would be alone. Well, 'twas worth a try. This should get us to 57. Heavensward was every bit as awe-inspiring as I imagined. His voice fairly dripped with power, the will behind his words so undeniable that I transcended my ignorance of the dragon's tongue. 'Tis but a pity that I misliked what he said. Yeah, so he's so powerful that despite the fact he doesn't even speak English or Common or whatever the language is called that we speak, you could still understand what he was saying. So far did we travel, even to the very heavens themselves, only to be dismissed like unruly children. And far from mitigating this humiliation, the hidden truths we learned serve only to prove that our grand mission of peace was destined to fail from the first. Nothing will deter Nidhogg from his course. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do. But what do we do next is the question.
Well, what do you propose we do now? I, for one, am intent on continuing to the east.
What is there to be found in the east?
Nidhogg's Eyrie.
Nidhogg's lair, the Eyrie, is said to lie in that direction. And the eye tells me he is near.
You cannot still mean to slay him.
Well, it's either him or everybody in
You
Ishgard.
cannot still mean to stop me. I have been true to my word, and aided you in this fool's errand with Heavensward. But your efforts at parley have come to naught, Lady Iceheart. I would see Ishgard saved, and for that, Nidhogg must die.
With the tale of our ancestors' vile betrayal yet ringing in your ears, you speak of continuing this war?
Well, how else are we going to stop it?
Nay, lady. I would but pierce its vengeful heart. When Nidhogg dies, this war shall die with him.
A moment, Estinian. You yourself spoke of the Great Worm's strength, that you believed him powerful enough to raise your city to the ground. How then are we few to challenge him? Even behind the stout walls of Ishgard, with an army of knights manning the defenses, our victory would be hard won. Yet you propose to contend with the beast in his own lair.
Yep.
In close combat, this will afford us an advantage. And if the tales are true, the Warrior of Light has bested many an invincible foe.
Also technically
But
true.
such speculation is meaningless if we cannot even find the worm. Our first task must be to seek out Nidhogg's lair.
The story of this nation grows bloodier by the moment. Must death always be answered with more of the same?
Such is the way of things, I fear. I shall consider it a miracle if mine armor is not stained crimson ere this conflict is ended.
As it happens, his armour is very much stained crimson by the end of it. But not for the reasons that you might suspect. We're just going to stand there and look blankly ahead.
But I should be blinded by my own lies. Everything I believed, everything I thought I was, gone. All gone.
Leave her. Your words will not reach her now. And we have not the time to wait for her to gather up the pieces of her shattered faith.
Ah, poor Zell. There is more to this story yet. Much, much more. What false god is this Shiva? What manner of phantom have I welcomed into my heart? Indeed. Right. Whee! Oh, can't jump over there because there's a really steep drop. Okay, so we are now on the hunt for Nidhogg's lair, which is up here. Yeah, so we've got quite a road ahead of us. Is this the... It's him again. He's still misbehaving. We're not going to fight him this time. There are a lot of little quests that can be. Is there any? Oops. Totally what I meant to do, honest. So we get to explore the zone a little bit as part of this quest. Confronted by dragons at each step. These are still level 54 quests, so we've got a... There's a chunk to do yet. Right, we want to be going... north. Ooh. Glad I checked that. 145 yards. There. This lovely wood of white trees. Ooh. Straggler. Showing up late to the murder party. Some little dragonfly mobs there. Two hands. Can't ignore those for now. Now over here. There's a Moogle with a quest for us. The Monstery. Oh, these things take a beating. Oh, we need to kill some Tulans for this quest, so might as well do this one while we're here. This may have been a mistake. If we do get into trouble, we can switch our Chocobo to healer stance, and that will mean that basically he will spam Choco Cure. Which is why I try and get that reasonably soon, because it's just an immense soloing tool. Yeah, if you do a lot of content in this game solo, which you have to do for the leveling process, it is the best option. Obviously, if you got your Chocobo maxed out with all ranks of everything, then he gets to do whatever he wants. Although I still don't think it's particularly worth it to invest in the tank stance. Oops. Darn. Saw that as soon as I pressed the button. It's about time that we could do with going and investing in a new weapon. There's not a huge difference damage-wise, if I remember correctly, with the 56 HQ weapon, but the stats do make a decent difference. And there is the Airy, which looks super cool. Which looks super cool against this humble static sky.
Is that it?
Certainly is.
Aye, that would be the Eyrie. I feel Nidhogg's presence through the eye, his caustic hatred gnawing at my soul. 'Twould seem the death of his consort has put him on guard. Mark how he wards his lair with tempestuous winds.
A similar barrier once barred our entrance to the primal Garuda's domain, until we discovered the means by which it could be penetrated. Mayhap it is time we called upon Master Garland. It will be just like the good old days, no?
So we get a little bit of a side journey here. A force of sufficient power to break through a primal's defences might conceivably grant us access to the Eyrie, and I can offer no better solution. Pray consult this energy of engineer, even friend of yours. Very well, on the condition that you swear not to lure Nidhogg from his lair in our absence. And steal all the glory for myself, you mean? No, I'm not so selfish as that. Contact me by link pearl when your preparations are complete, and we shall set forth from Ishgard together. I suggest we rendezvous back at St. Renette's Forum. From what I've gleaned of the Holy Sea's decidedly ambitious airship project, Cid will still be in Ishgard. Just going to go and hand this quest in while we are here. Oh, we've got all of the... I never even checked. Right, so we've got a main story quest and there's going to be another... Oh, it's over at Zenith. Must have gone straight past that. Or maybe it wasn't there until we'd done that bit. Keep doing that. Maundering Moogle. Ooh, gives us some earring. Hide and seek. Gotta find 3 Moogles. How riveting. Well, there's one. Emasculated Moogle. Okay. Muttering Moogle. Wow. This was not... Can I get up that way or do I need to go around? No, to go there. Need to go round. Oh. That'll do. That'll do, donkey. Where is he? Well, that wasn't particularly troubling. Yes, that's a teeny tiny upgrade. Still got a couple of pieces of 120 gear. Right. Back to Ishgard. Bum 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 ba da da. Right, and unfortunately I'm going to cut this here because I need to go and do some computer shopping. Woohoo! So for me and my boy Alphino, I'll catch you all later for a proper length stream. But for now, Toodle pip.